What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Facemask Fantasy, the first live stream of the first week of NFL football. We're about 26 hours away from kickoff. It's good to have football back. It's good to be back after a long weekend. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the holiday. But it's time to talk shop. Got a draft coming up, 45 minutes past the hour. It's around 6:45 East, so I will make sure to toggle over to the draft. It is on Yahoo, so I have to follow Yahoo rankings and all that good stuff. So maybe maybe your draft is tonight, or maybe you haven't conducted a draft just yet. Which would probably wouldn't be most of you guys, but it would be an opportunity, one final, dress rehearsal, so to speak, as far as drafts for the season in the event that you haven't had your draft yet. So you can follow along and follow my strategy as it unfolds real time. I know I have the fourth pick. I believe it's a 12-team league. It's one of my smaller, lower stake leagues. But still one that I've taken part of for, 7-8 years now with old coworkers. So, you'll get a glimpse into my full PPR strategy from the 4 spot. I'll kick that off. That starts at 6:45 East. Until then, we will get into the latest news and notes. We're getting the first practice reports, the first full practice reports for the full slate for Sunday. Obviously, this is a bit of a unique week. Not only do we have kickoff tomorrow night, but we have the first ever Friday game between the Eagles and the Packers. So we can touch on that briefly. But we are getting practice reports for the Sunday slate, Sunday and Monday, of course. So we're in full swing, baby. Football is back. Just a couple of notes, and I'm happy to take, as always, on top of that, I'm happy to take questions in the chat. Members will get first priority. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. You will get shout-outs, and you will get your questions answered in priority order. And then a couple of updates for the channel for this season, whether you are discovering this channel for the first time or if you've been around the block. Welcome either way. It's good to see everybody. Greg, what's happening, man? Good to see you. Some channel updates for this offseason, or for this season, excuse me. I'm going to generally keep the general cadence for live streams. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Tuesday is a waiver wire show. Thursday will be a Thursday night preview and also kind of get a temperature check on the week because we'll have 2 of the 3 major practice report days at that point by the time we stream. And then Saturday and Sunday will be the start-sit live streams. Tuesday and Thursday will still be general population available to everybody. That is, the streams themselves, the live chats will be available to everybody. The Saturday and Sunday start-sit streams, they do get a little cluttered and difficult to navigate when I am prioritizing the members and bouncing around and picking out their questions out of order and then having to go back and find my spot in line for everybody else. We're going to do away with that this year. The Saturday, Sunday start-sit streams, which will be at 6 p.m. East on Saturday and 11 a.m. East on Sunday, they will be member-only streams. So members will have access to the chat. It is just the lowest level of membership required on the channel for you to be able to participate in those streams. So it's 99 cents a month. I know it's a paywall, but I really think it's a good bang for your buck. You will get the best analyzed, thought-out answer to your start-sit question that I can give you with, the least amount of time remaining, which is the amount of time basically that you want going into the weekend for your start-sit questions. Start-sit questions are difficult to answer on Wednesdays and Thursdays and even Fridays. We have to let practice reports play out, and once the game designations are in, really makes everything clear. We don't get that information until the last minute with certain players. You guys know this. Y'all have been around the block before if you've played fantasy for more than 1 or 2 seasons. You know that injury designations can change. Questionable designations can go right down to the wire and can make it difficult to make a call. So those start-sit decisions are going to be difficult to be made during the week. And when I try to, give priority to the members on Saturdays and Sundays, it gets things cluttered and out of order on Saturdays and Sundays, and it just makes things a little bit more difficult to navigate all of that. So, Saturday and Sunday, it's just the lowest form of membership on the channel, the Start-Sit streams, when you will get my best and all of our, any other streams that you may follow, and then for your own personal, thought process. The best time to make those decisions are when it's pretty much up against it on Saturdays and Sundays. They will be member-only streams, just 99 cents a month. It's just the practice squad level membership. You can find more information on the first link in the description of this stream and all of the streams on this channel. There is a car alarm that is just blasting outside that is incredibly annoying right now. Hopefully that ends soon. So that will be the structure and the template for this season. So if you're a member already, great. You're golden. You don't have to do anything. When you join the Saturday, Sunday streams, you can just ask your question. And again, if you've been around the block, if you know this channel, you know the level of thought and detail I will go into for your question when it calls for it. Sometimes the answer might be a little bit more obvious to me than it might be to you. That's not to, diminish any of the questions, but some questions just don't take as long to answer than others. But a lot of them do. You're a lot of time, oftentimes you're between two good options for your flex or for your RB2 or your wide receiver 3. And that takes some thought process, some thinking out to do. So we will get into that on Saturdays and Sundays. You can ask your start-sit questions on Wednesdays and Thursdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, but one, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them because, two, we just don't have enough information to go off of yet. Okay? And I know you guys all know this. Figuring out your lineup questions on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are premature. These decisions often need to be made on Saturdays and Sundays when you're right up against it, at least as far as your non-obvious starts. So, that is the structure for this season. Just wanted to get that out there. Tuesday and Thursday, waiver wire and Thursday night preview / week temperature check. Those will be free to everybody. Although I will be admittedly deprioritizing start-sit questions during those streams. Just letting you know now, and I will continue to share that update over the course of the season. Saturday, Sunday, members-only start-sit streams, 99 cents a month for each stream that month, and you will get the best answer I can give you with the amount of time remaining to make the call that you would want, which is Saturday and Sunday, ultimately Sunday morning. So that's the plan. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to, I can rehash any details. And then, of course, during the Tuesday, Thursday streams, members will still get priority. They will still get their questions asked out of order. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. And then I will move back to everybody else's questions. Members also will get member shout-outs, so you know that I'm answering your question specifically. Let's see. So I see Greg in here, and I appreciate everybody coming in, whether you hang out here tonight for a minute or 10 minutes or maybe even longer than that. Hopefully everybody's having a good start to the week with football just around the corner. So I can take questions about like your team and how the team is looking. I can give thoughts on that. And then we'll get into the news and notes that I have here pulled up on Sleeper. And then in about 30 minutes from now, a little bit more than 30 minutes from now, I will have my final draft of the season. So I'll stay live for that one and take you guys through that one. Greg wants me to look at his team, so we can do that here now. 12-team, half PPR. I always appreciate as much context as you guys can give, so thank you, Greg. Like, what's the scoring? How many receivers do you start? Is it super flex? Are there any bonus scoring details that I need to know about? Context. As much detail as you can give me, that helps sort this stuff out. So 12-team, half PPR. You picked 6 out of 12, which I like the middle of the round this year as opposed to the top or the bottom. So that was my personal opinion. I liked drafting from the 5, 6, 7 spot. I felt like it almost took the pressure off, making it easy because there were so many like clumps of tiers where it was like they all fell to the middle of the round, and it was just like I'll just take whoever's left from that top tier and keep it moving. But Love at quarterback, fine. Bijan is at Mixon, Aaron Jones, and Zeke at running back, perfectly fine with all those guys. Harrison, Debo, Pittman, Hollywood, Gabe Davis. Okay. I assume you went Bijan and then Marvin or maybe okay, so you went Bijan first, and then you either got Harrison or Debo second and third round, so one of them was a pretty good value. I'll assume Debo was the second round pick, Harrison was the third round pick. That's my guess. Could be flip-flopped. Either way, good value on the third round pick regardless. Mixon in the fourth, good. I assume Jones or Pittman was your fifth round pick, good. Jones was your sixth round pick, I assume, good. And then maybe Love was your seventh round pick. That's like my guess here on how that went. And I see you have Ferguson as well, so maybe that was like an eighth, ninth, maybe even 10th round pick. I like the first, if that's the case, and correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, I like how that started. I do. Those first 6, 7 picks, I like how that went for you. I think that went well. The depth is a little bit more questionable, admittedly. Zeke should be fine as like a touchdown or bust option at running back, but you are thin after that. You only have 3 viable options like week to week as of right now. We'll see how the Cowboys' backfield plays out for the rest of the season. So depth could be a little bit of a concern. Hollywood, you're going to be waiting on for a while, right? He's out week 1. He could miss additional time after picking up the injury just this close to the season. So he's going to be behind the 8 ball a little bit. But you have, I assume you maybe start only 2 wide receivers and a flex. In which case, Debo, Harrison, and Pittman are a really good combo. And even if it's 3 receivers, even if it's 3 receivers and a flex, your starting options are strong. After that, I would admit the depth is not my favorite. Gabe has a long way to go to prove that he can remain fantasy relevant. Hollywood Brown, we just don't know when is he going to be available and how soon is he fantasy relevant. We love the landing spot, catching passes from Mahomes, but the injury this close to the season is not a good start for a guy who is often injured, right? I like Ferguson as a high floor tight end option that is not, you don't have to break the bank for. He's like an 8th, 9th, maybe even 10th round pick. So I like that spot for you with Ferguson. That's fine. I don't mind Hawkinson as a stash and hope, but you are going to have to probably wait until week 8, week 9, maybe week 10 for him to become viable. And then you are left with the maybe possibly frustrating decision each week of who do I start between him and Ferguson. So that's a headache I'd honestly rather look to avoid. Like when I draft a tight end, I would want to draft Hawkinson when I have a less obvious week-to-week option available to me at tight end, so that by the time Hawkinson comes back, and is able to prove that he's healthy, I can just lock him into my lineup and forget about it. Or if he doesn't pan out, I can just cut him and just keep streaming tight ends. So that's the only thing. I like how things started for you, Greg. But the depth is the depth is going to have to prove itself a little bit. And then Pittsburgh, I mean, the Steelers are notoriously a good defense. You know, year in and year out, they typically are a strong defensive unit. I certainly don't like them for week one, having to go on the road against this new revamped Atlanta Falcons offense. So maybe look to pivot there. And I'll tell anybody right now, if the Seattle Seahawks are out there on the waiver wire, maybe consider picking them up, because they're playing the Denver Broncos, and that is, we're very much in wait-and-see mode with that offense. So, strong start. I'm not so sure about the depth of your team, but we'll see. And then going back up to the top, I see there are start sit. I have a start sit question here right off the top. So again, before Saturday, I'm kind of gonna, I can't give a ton to start sit questions because there's still so much we don't know. We don't know practice reports. We don't know what's going to develop between now and Sunday. You know how the NFL works. It's weird. It's wonky. Crazy things can happen. Guys can be added to the injury report. Guys can be true question marks leading up to the game. And then, of course, like the matchups themselves, we need to sort out because, there's injury designations on the other side of the ball as well. Which cornerback might be out that could be, the primary defender for the wide receiver you have on your team. Which defensive lineman or linebacker might be out on defense that could impact your quarterback or running back. So there's lots that we need to sift through before we get to start sit questions. That being said, there's a lot of obvious names that are already in your starting lineup, so you probably you rock with that for now. You rock with that for now, but we probably need to revisit this Saturday and Sunday. And then another team rating question. I can take these. That's fine. Just like a general, how do I feel about your team? I can take those. So 12-team standard scoring. Kyler at quarterback. Good. Saquon and Gibbs in 12-team. I guess you had a pick at the end of the first round. So, nicely done there. DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, I like that a lot. Kittle, fine. Kittle's fine. He usually ends up as a top 5 tight end, so that's fine. I'm a little less bullish on him week to week because now it's confirmed that Brandon Ayuk is re-upped with the team. So, Kittle could be option number 1 any given week, or he could be option number 4 behind McCaffrey, Debo, and Ayuk. So he's a little up and down. Kittle's numbers, are a little there, are usually there at the end of the day. Again, top 5 guy on the season, generally speaking, for the past 3 or 4 years in a row. So you can rely on Kittle at the end of the day, but the week-to-week volatility with George Kittle is real. The week-to-week volatility is real. But I like your starting receivers with DJ Moore and Jalen Waddle. Javonte is fine as a flex, 12 team, so obviously those options dry up kind of quickly. I definitely like your grabbing the rookies. I definitely like grabbing the rookie running backs in Benson and Corum. I think both are great stash and holds. Don't do anything with those guys. Just let them sit on the bench and let that cake bake. If James Conner goes down and has to miss a game, Trey Benson gets into your starting lineup. If anything happens to Kyron Williams, Blake Corum will get him into your starting lineup. Obviously not for week 1, but these are good stashes. I like Jalen Wright quite a bit. Zay Flowers, I'm not as bullish on just because of how expensive he was this year. He was a low-end wide receiver 2 last year, and he's being drafted as like a mid-tier wide receiver 2, so he's being drafted at his ceiling. So I'm not super bullish on Flowers, but if you're not relying on him, then I would say that's fine, and you ended up with pretty good depth outside of him, so that's fine. Brian Thomas, I love that. I love that pick as well. I think Brian Thomas is kind of being slept on a little bit. He was a first-round pick this year. He potentially moves into the Calvin Ridley role for Jacksonville. Ridley departs. Zay Jones departs. They only replace those guys outside of Thomas with Gabe Davis. So I like Brian Thomas at his depreciated cost quite a bit. So I think that's a good grab there. Nicely done. Mitchell, we'll see. He could be great. He could become an afterthought when Josh Downs is back to being fully healthy from his ankle sprain. He's a fine, he might have been your last pick or one of your last picks, so he's a fine roll of the dice. But he's probably, not jumping the gun here, not saying do it now, but he's probably one of the first guys that you're dropping for a hot waiver wire ad after week 1. If not Kirk Cousins, which you could drop him as well because you already have Kyler Murray. And I tend to only like carrying one quarterback in one quarterback leagues until I absolutely need a second quarterback. Now, your league mates better than I do, and this goes for everybody. If you're in a one quarterback league that is like 12 or 14 teams and those teams hoard quarterbacks, then yeah, sure, hang on to your QB2. But if there's a lot of quarterbacks available on the waiver wire, Baker Mayfield, Aaron Rodgers, Will Levis, Matthew Stafford, if there's a lot of options, Deshaun Watson, who isn't great, but at least he's a starting quarterback. If there are enough viable quarterback options on the wire right now, then don't roster a QB2. That goes for everybody. In one quarterback leagues, if there are enough viable options, like the names I just mentioned, on your waiver wire, then don't roster a QB2. Pick up another depth running back. Or if you're weak at wide receiver, pick up another depth wide receiver. So on the whole, I would say pretty solid. Oh, and Brian Robinson. Yeah, no, good squad. Good squad. So as far as your quarterback question, drop Cousins for more depth if there are other viable quarterback options on the wire, but if there aren't, then it's fine to hold Cousins, even though I hate rostering more than one quarterback in one quarterback leagues. Let's see. I got another team rate. Hello from England. It's very cool. Welcome in. It's very late there. But appreciate you tuning in. Let's see. Full PPR, 12 teams. I love seeing all these 12-team leagues. You guys are playing in some serious, competitive, deeper leagues. That makes it more challenging. That's awesome. It should be a challenge. Not that, I'm just not. I can't play in an 8-team league. I just can't do it. And if that's what you're comfortable doing, and that's the league that you're a part in, and that's the league that you care about, then great. That's awesome. Not taking anything away from what the league that matters to you most is. I try to play in leagues that are at, I don't even like 10-team, but I will play 10-team if I have to. I like the 12-team leagues. I think that's the perfect balance of you can still build a really strong team, but the talent is going to be spread out a little bit more across every team. But to each their own. But this is a 12-teamer. Kyler and Aaron Rodgers. So again, if your league hoards quarterbacks, then fine to keep a QB2. But in one quarterback leagues, if there are other viable quarterbacks on the waiver wire, then drop your QB2. Pick up some more running back depth. Pick up some more wide receiver depth. I'm not trying to be facetious here, but when I say I don't care who it is, more running back depth is better. It just is. More wide receiver depth is better than just a QB2 if your league doesn't hoard quarterbacks. Some leagues do. Some leagues hoard quarterbacks. Some leagues hoard tight ends for whatever reason. If that's the case and you need to protect yourself from that, then fine. But if they don't do that, if Will Levis, if Matthew Stafford, Baker Mayfield, if those guys are available on the waiver wire, then drop Aaron Rodgers for another option, for another running back. Drop Kirk Cousins for another running back. So my answer to the question of, like, should I drop this quarterback? My answer to that is, you know your league mates better than I do. So if you know your league, look at your league. If they're hoarding quarterbacks, then you might as well keep one to protect yourself from bye week or injury concerns. But if they don't, then drop them. Drop your backups for more running back depth. Bijan and James Cook, I assume, are your starters. Javonte, Chase Brown, Ty Chandler, Jordan Mason. That's good. I like all those guys as running back depth, especially Chase Brown. Nicely done. Wilson, Flowers, McLaurin, Reed, Watson. I like that hedge that you did with Jaden Reed and Christian Watson. In all likelihood, one of those guys pans out, if not both. So I think that's a nice little hedge that you created for yourself. That's okay. I wouldn't start either of those guys just yet. Let's see how 2024 plays out. I prefer Watson personally, on a point per and a per route basis, all that stuff. Watson was the superior player when he was on the field last year. Jaden Reed finished as the wide receiver 1, but on a per play basis, Watson still looks like he could be the dude, and obviously he has the most big play upside of any of the Packers wide receivers. He's just got that breakaway speed. But nevertheless, I like that hedge. Again, with Zay Flowers, I do think he's getting overdrafted this year, so I'm not crazy about him. He finished as a low-end wide receiver 2 last year. Now, he should continue to flourish, continue to get better, but we're drafting him pretty high this year, and I just wasn't personally wanting to take that plunge. So if he works out, awesome. I just always found myself with other names around Zay Flowers that I preferred to draft. So if he works out, great. I wasn't personally crazy about him at cost. If he slid a little bit, then great. But at cost, I wasn't crazy about him. Garrett Wilson's a stud. I do quite like Terry McLaurin this year at a reduced cost and as like a guy who should command at least a 25% target share. So nicely done there. Trey McBride is being drafted as a top 5 tight end. And I do have this draft coming up in 15 minutes. I need to make sure I keep an eye on that. So I'll switch over to that when I get a second. Overall, good group, good options at wide receiver. I feel like it wouldn't shock me if like Watson moves in there over Flowers at some point during the season, but you can safely fire Flowers up. You drafted Flowers to be a starter, so you might as well start him week 1. And in this matchup tomorrow night against the Chiefs, this would be one of those weeks to fire him up. Could be a shootout. So, overall solid. Overall solid. James Cook might be frustrating, though. That'll be the last point that I make. He just doesn't have a track record of scoring touchdowns. That's it. That's all. The yards will be there. The catches should be there with all of the departures the Bills had at wide receiver, but he may not come through for you in the touchdown department between Josh Allen and now Ray Davis. But overall, I think it's solid. And I see that there are a couple of start-sit questions as it pertains to tomorrow night. So I can touch on those briefly. Obviously, week 1 is fluky. You guys know that. So it can be tough to like make a true final call on some of these options. I typically suggest, whoever you drafted first are the guys that you might as well rock with week 1. So if you drafted Zay Flowers ahead of Deontay Johnson, you might as well start Zay Flowers. If you drafted who did you draft first? probably just start those guys, right? Like, I know it sounds simplistic. It sounds like it's simple, or it's almost taking the easy way out. But, like, we have so little to go off of going into week one. You might as well utilize, like, your draft order as far as, like, how do I prioritize the guys that I fire up this week? So, like, Flowers or Rice, you probably drafted Rice first, so I would just start Rice, who is at home. I would just start Rice. Like, that would be where I go. Like, whoever you drafted first, this is just for week one. I'm going to give you more than an answer like this for the coming weeks. But, like, whoever you drafted first, I would go with that guy. That's who I would go with. And then some last questions here, and then I need to slide over to my draft. I will try to get to some of these news and notes really quickly. It's a lot of positive news and notes, which is good. So you probably don't need to spend a ton of time on it. But so far, the injury reports have been positive. As we kick off those practice reports coming into the week. I like Jordan Mason quite a bit, but I don't think I would. Oh, you already have him on the team. Just keep him. If you have him, just keep him. Don't pick up a second tight end. Don't worry about the fact that all the tight ends are gone. You have Trey McBride. Like, we'll worry about that when it comes time to worry about it. You're rocking with Trey McBride as your tight end. Just keep Jordan Mason. I prefer good. Like, give me the running back depth, and especially with Elijah Mitchell out for the year. Yeah, if you have guys that you drafted, I'm not trying to cop out for start sit answers to tomorrow night's game. Trust me, you will get more from me in the coming weeks. But if you have a dude that you just believe in coming into the season, it's like, this was the guy I was not leaving the draft without, or I just drafted this dude first. You might as well start that guy, right? You might as well go with the guy that you believe in for week one, because we just have so little to go off of otherwise. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, again, for anybody who's just coming in, first of all, welcome. Appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out, whether it's for a minute or 10 minutes. And I will be kicking off a draft here shortly. If anybody wants to follow along, it will kick off at 6:45 East, so in about 9 minutes from now, 8-9 minutes from now. Again, with start-sit questions. For anybody who's just joining me, if it pertains to Thursday or Friday, I will give you the best that I can. My general thought process is start the dude you drafted first. If you're between the guy that you drafted in the 4th round and the guy you drafted in the 6th round, or even the 5th round, start the dude you drafted in the 4th round, right? That's like a testament to your belief in the guy. Otherwise, why draft him 4th round in the first place? You know what I mean? Like, and I know that's not a ton to go off of, but we just have so little to go off of in general going into week one, right? So if you're between Rashee Rice or some other dude you drafted a couple rounds later, just start Rashee Rice, right? If you're between Zay Flowers and some other dude you drafted a round or two later, just start Zay Flowers. If you're between both of those guys and you can't start both of them, again, I know, like, then I guess in general, I would say start the guy playing at home, who is Rashee Rice, catching passes from Mahomes. But, like, if your gut says Zay Flowers, then start Zay Flowers. That one is a toss-up. That one's a true toss-up. But, like, for week one, just start the dude that you drafted higher up in the draft, because that's a testament to your belief in that guy. Otherwise, why draft him that high at all? You know what I mean? Like, for week one, start the dudes you drafted higher. Even if they're like guys that, even if they're like plug and play dudes like that are temporary. Oh, I drafted this guy in the 8th round and he might not be relevant at the end of the year, but he's relevant now. That's fine. That's good. That's great. I would still start the dudes I drafted 2, 3, 4 rounds ahead of those guys. It's just like a principle type of thing. That's just me personally. But like I want Rashee Rice in my lineup. Again, I wasn't drafting a lot of Zay Flowers this year because I just think he's a little overpriced for me. But to that point, if you drafted Zay Flowers, you probably drafted him high. So just start him in a game where the Ravens are probably going to be throwing the football on the road against the high-powered Chiefs. You know? And again, with start-sit questions, they will get a little bit more. I will get more granular with like questions as it pertains to just strictly Sunday and Monday. We got to get through practice reports first. I don't think anybody's banged up yet to the point where we have to question their availability. The best I would say right now is I would probably start Brian Robinson because I'm pretty sure I know his role in Washington's offense. I don't know what Pollard's role is in the Titans' offense versus Tajay Spears's. So I would go Robinson. But like we'll get a little bit maybe better, but we possibly get a better feel for that as the week goes on. All right, let me quickly get to some news and notes from around the league, and then in about 5 minutes, I have a draft to do. And if you guys care to follow along, so you can kind of see what I'm thinking, and maybe it helps. Maybe it even helps with some lineup decisions for week 1. Maybe it does. Or maybe it just gives you some last final strategy that I have for myself and what I hopefully can share going into the season. A lot of good news. Christian McCaffrey, returned to practice today. Awesome. He was never not going to be the first overall pick in all formats outside of Superflex. And even then, he's still the 5th pick. Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs. He feels good. Apparently, he says 98 to 100%. He expects to play week 1. Hopefully no reservations with his usage. David Montgomery is probably a very safe play this week, but you're still firing up Gibbs if you drafted him in the first round or maybe even the second round, if depending on the size of the league and scoring. But Gibbs is in your lineup. This one is, here we freaking go. Kyle Pitts is dealing with a hamstring injury and will be limited at practice today. Now, taken out of context, that sounds awful, but there was some added context from the head coach, Raheem Morris, that he's generally fine. That was the general consensus, is he's fine. It's just a designation. They're monitoring stuff. They're going through all of these different things through practice, but Pitts has been doing everything. He's okay. It sounds like this is maybe just much ado about nothing. I think we should be fine as it pertains to Kyle Pitts. If you drafted him, you're firing him up on Sunday against the Steelers. Again, Hollywood Brown is out for Thursday night. So honestly, I'm also getting a bit over a cold that I had a couple days ago, so excuse the coughing. Hollywood Brown ruled out. Even more reason to fire up Rashee Rice. Xavier Worthy is worth a flex in deeper leagues, but I'm not going out of my way to fire him up over anybody that I drafted higher than him. Worthy could pop, but he's a rookie in his first game. I would hope you have, more proven, not better, but more proven options. Not better necessarily, but proven options to turn to this week. But Rashee Rice needs to be in lineups. The big one, Jamar Chase, practiced today for Cincinnati amid the contract dispute. He's probably good to go. How much he plays this week could come into question, but it's Jamar Chase. He's in your lineup. The Vikings feel good about Jordan Addison playing week 1. He's a wide receiver 3-ish until further notice. Brock Bowers will play. He's a low-end tight end 1, but a bit of an unknown as a rookie in his first game in a less than stellar Raiders offense. So we'll see how that goes. And I think that's about it. That is about it. Good news all the way around. All right. This draft is starting. I should join it. What say you guys? And I will continue to answer questions as I can throughout the as this is taking place. Where is this draft? There it is. And I will readjust the screen so that it's I assume me down here is probably no, I don't want your. All right, let's see. I wonder if I can is there a way to zoom out on this a little bit? All right, this is starting really quickly, by the way. Oops. And we have a few. It looks like we have a few auto drafters. Again, this is a bit of a. It's not a casual league, but there might be some people in this league who just kind of pop in and out. Again, this is a full PPR draft. Man, there's not a better way. Just trying to give you guys as much of the screen as I possibly can. There we go. Let's see. Full PPR draft. I have the 4th overall pick. The first 2 picks are McCaffrey, Tyreek, and CeeDee Lamb. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I have no problem just going. I know, even in full PPR, I'm going to take the 40 seconds to think about this, but even in full PPR, I don't think I have an issue to go with Breece Hall. Because I only start 2 receivers in this league. If I started 3 receivers in this league, then there would be more of a conversation for like a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson or an Amon-Ra St. Brown. But because I only start 2 receivers and a flex in this league as opposed to 3 receivers and a flex, I don't have any issue. I don't have any issues just drafting Breece Hall. I don't have any issue just drafting Breece Hall. I like Breece. So I prefer Breece to Bijan. It's personal preference this year. I did put a video out earlier in the offseason about Breece versus Bijan. It is personal preference at this point. I just believe in Breece a little bit more because I just don't know how much Tyler Algier continues to mix in. Raheem Morris alluded to Tyler Algier still having a role in this offense. And while Arthur Smith is gone, which is great for Atlanta's offense, and the addition of Kirk Cousins, all the way around, they should be a lot better. Breece was elite in a terrible situation last year, and his situation is improved as well. And I've seen Breece be a bell cow. I think Bijan is a bell cow, but I know Breece is a bell cow. It's semantics. We're splitting hairs. Like I said, it's personal preference, but I prefer Breece. After that, Bijan did go 5th. So, again, personal preference. Amon-Ra went 6th. Saquon Barkley 7th. Jamar Chase 8th. So, Justin Jefferson is still on the board at 9th, which is a very strong value in full PPR leagues. Chase at 8th is crazy. I mean, you also see some leagues where Saquon Barkley just goes like super high, like in this one. Trying to see, is there any way I can like? It'd be good to show you. I would love to show you guys the chat. I just don't know how much room I have. Oh, this tool. I guess you guys don't need to see the teams drafting. You don't need to see the pick timer. Let me see. Give me 1 second. All right. And then if I slide myself up here and get rid of this stupid promo. Should be able to see. Come on. I'm trying to make this a little bit more visually friendly for you guys. Man, does Yahoo not allow you to just kind of expand this? I just want updates. Whoa, this just jumped on me. Jamar Chase 8th, A.J. Brown 9th, Derrick Henry 10th, Puka 11th, Justin Jefferson fell to 12th in full PPR. This is insane. Travis Kelce 13th. I like Travis Kelce, but that's too high. Taylor 14th, Jahmyr Gibbs 15th. There's some really good running backs available to me here. Which is fine. I don't mind that, but I wouldn't hate like hanging my hat on a stud wide receiver. Kyron 16th, Garrett Wilson falling to 17th in full PPR. That's a fall. That's certainly a fall. I'm in this Debo Travis Etienne range. I could take Nico Collins. Potentially, anyway. And again, with start-sit questions this weekend, if they pertain to the Sunday games, we got to let things play out in practice. But generally speaking, my for week 1, start the dude you drafted higher. And I know that's a bit of a cop-out answer, but like we don't have anything really to go off of for week 1. So start the dude that you built your foundation on. The foundation of your team is built in your first 6, 7, 8 picks. So if you have to cut off, like, do I start the guy I drafted in the 6th round or the guy I drafted in the 7th round? Start the dude you drafted in the 6th round. And there goes Marvin Harrison, who I just miss out on. And I just missed on like guys like Cooper Kupp, Drake London. Do I take a potential, a potential upside PPR option in Chris Olave? I don't have a ton of shares of Chris Olave this year. If he can get it to that 90 catch threshold with no Michael Thomas, I think that's where I'm going to go. I'm diversifying my my investments here a little bit. I think I'm going to go Chris Olave. Just going to do it. Just going to take him. I don't know how I feel about Olave as my wide receiver 1 just because of Derek Carr. Like, it's obviously Olave is talented, but he's just attached to a meh quarterback situation. But Olave's a stud. 87 catches last year. If he can get that touchdown number up to 7, 8, 9, which no Michael Thomas for the entire year, not just half the year, we could be in business. And then I'll probably look to get, in full PPR, I will look to get a second wide receiver here. I'm coming up in another 4 picks. DJ Moore would be a player that I'm happy to end up with. Nico Collins would be a player I'm happy to end up with. There goes Laporta. This is too early for these tight ends. They're excellent, but like the way that they have to hit being drafted this high, I like Mike Evans as well, but I've taken a lot of shares of Mike Evans, so admittedly this is more, man. Or do I just take Devon Achane, who in full PPR is not necessary? I mean, I know he's supposed to run more routes this year, and that's super enticing. I feel like I should go back to the wide receiver to the wide receiver bin though. It's fair to question like if Breece or Bijan, if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, if Kirk Cousins gets hurt, yeah, it's tougher on them. But I just don't want to operate. There goes Lamar Jackson. I just don't want to operate that way. Brandon Ayuk, Mike Evans. Man, actually, Deebo Samuel is still here. He's a little bit more. He's a guy that I want in half PPR, full PPR. With that wide back role he has, I don't want him as much. Yahoo ADP is so interesting. ETN would be solid here, but I have Breece, so I think I am going to go back to the well at wide receiver. Where did Nico Collins go? There he is. I'm going to draft Nico. Achane in half or half PPR or standard would be like a slam dunk here. In full PPR, already with Breece in tow, I decided to pivot and go to wide receiver because it's full PPR. If in the third round in a half PPR league, Achane is still there, hammer that. And I could end up regretting not picking him there. Don't think I'm not all in on Achane. I'll take the wide receiver 2 in full PPR slightly. We're splitting hairs slightly over Achane, who is excellent and a guy that I'm very excited about this season. But because I already have Breece, I'm going to hang my hat on that stud running back. My RB2 can be sorted out a little later. Achane goes the very next pick, as he should. ETN goes right after. Good running backs available in the third round. This kind of does allow you to be a little bit more aggressive, maybe taking a wide receiver first overall. I'm a big believer in Breece. He was excellent last year in a bad situation. He should be excellent this year in a much better situation. Again, as far as if Rodgers gets hurt, yeah, that's not good. But Breece he was still awesome last year when Rodgers did get hurt. So I just want to operate as if, we have to operate when you're drafting. We have to operate as if all things are going to go well, right? Don't draft as if the worst case scenario happens. Draft as if the best case scenario is going to happen. Obviously, you want to factor in every variable. And I know that sounds too positive, so to speak. You want to factor in every variable you can. You want to weigh every scenario. But swing for the fences. Draft with the hope and mindset that the guy that you like is going to have a best case scenario this year as far as everything around him works out. Because there's no way to know who comes out at the end of the year with a best case scenario and who came out of the year with a worst case scenario. We're not going to know that until the games get played. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to know that until kickoff. The major injuries, the disappointing performances, the random breakouts that nobody saw coming. We got to just kind of let football happen for that. You know what I mean? So, like, draft with a glass half full if you can. Draft glass half full. There are some quarterbacks really going off the board. Lamar went high. Josh Allen just went high. Jalen Hurts is still on the board. I believe Patrick Mahomes is still on the board unless I missed him getting drafted. I must have because I still don't. Where did he go? Did he get drafted? Did I miss that? Pacheco 23rd, Laporta 24th, Lamar 25th, 27th, Nico 28th, Achane 29th, Jacobs, Debo, Pittman 33rd, Josh Allen 34th, Devontae Smith 35th, DK Metcalf 36th. Oh, Mahomes just went. Okay, there you go. 37th. I do know. So, again, as far as, like, where do I draft a quarterback? Again, know your league mates. I know this league. Drafts quarterbacks higher than the average league. Lamar just went 25th overall. Josh Allen went a couple picks after that. Mahomes went 37th overall. So, like, that's not so far above their ADP, their cost, but quarterbacks get dragged up ever so slightly in this league. It's this league specifically. If it's up to me in a vacuum, I want to wait some more on my quarterback. I want to wait until as late as I can to get my quarterback. But I know that they go higher in this league than usual. So I do have to be prepared for that. Jalen Hurts is still on the board. I'm not expecting that to be the case, though, because I know in this league in particular, I know I got a couple of Eagles fans drafting just ahead of me right now, and I assume that one of them will take Jalen Hurts. I mean, in 5 picks from now, Jalen Waddle just went 39th. I think that's an excellent value. Jalen Waddle is a crazy good value in the 3rd round this year. There goes James Cook. I mean, I'd be happy to end up with DJ Moore. I'd be happy to end up with Kenneth Walker here as an RB2. I like Amari Cooper in this spot for more wide receiver depth in full PPR. I'm holding out for either DJ Moore or Kenneth Walker. Those are the guys I want. Kenneth Walker is not, the best value in full PPR, but I just think he's going to have such a damn good season. I just think he's going to have a good year. I think Michael Pittman already got drafted. There goes Rachaad White. 2 picks until my turn. There goes Diggs. I haven't drafted a lot of Stephon Diggs this year. Plus, I just drafted Nico Collins, so I don't really want him. I don't want to stack those up. DJ Moore just got drafted. There goes Jalen Hurts. 1 pick before I could take him. I don't hate Kenneth Walker here. I really don't. Ooh, there's another guy. Neighbors is super interesting. He's super, super interesting. I don't know if he makes it back to me. I think Yahoo defaults on these rankings or these X ranks. I think that's what they do. They default on these X ranks. Oh, Rashee Rice is still available. What am I doing? In full PPR, and he's probably going to avoid a suspension this year? Yeah. Yeah. I'll take Rashee Rice. I'll take 45th overall in full PPR. Yeah, I'll take Rashee Rice. I am happy that I switched to the X rank, which I don't even really like all that much. And there goes Kenneth Walker. So I was pretty on as far as wanting Walker at that spot. But in full PPR, I didn't even realize Rice was still available. I'm going to take Rashee Rice. And welcome into everybody who's hanging out in the chat right now. Appreciate you guys coming in, whether you've been here before, whether you're new, whether you're hanging out for 30 seconds or 30 minutes. There goes Malik Neighbors. Damn it. Let's see. I could use an RB2, but I'm not going to reach for the sake of getting one. Let's see. I think Metcalf already went. I like Amari Cooper for more depth. Amari Cooper stays slept on, man. Amari Cooper stays slept on. His numbers were down last year, but that was because things kind of went in the tank when Joe Flacco took over. He only had eyes for David Njoku, but he still put up another 200, at least in full PPR fantasy points. I can get him in the 5th round when I think he was a 3rd-round pick last year, and he has Deshaun Watson back who keyed on him. I still have a need for an RB2, and I can't start Amari Cooper as currently constructed, but I'm taking the wide receiver depth. I'm taking Amari Cooper. I like the value, so I'm going with him. So I'm grabbing him. I'll get my RB2 like later, when I feel like the value has come back to me a little bit. Like Trey McBride just went stud tight end. I'll wait. There's guys like Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray, CJ Stroud, all here. I'm going to wait. There's another guy at quarterback that I got my eye on that I can probably get a little bit later and still feel really good about. Stick around and you'll see. But again, welcome in everybody. Happy football is back. Taking you through a full PPR draft, my final one of the season. It's start 2 wide receivers and a flex, not 3 receivers and a flex, which is why I opted for Breece Hall in the 1st round over Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase. Swung back with guys like Olave, Nico Collins, Rashee Rice, and Amari Cooper. I feel strongly about that for my wide receiver depth. I'll find an RB2 here with my next couple of picks. I'll find a quarterback with my next couple of picks. Maybe even a tight end if they fall. There goes Stroud, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, all good options in the 5th round. Higgins and McLaurin in particular. I think both are good values this year. I'll throw George Pickens into that mix as well. If you were able to get him in the 5th round this year or even the 6th round, congratulations. Nice selection. As for start-sit questions, call out if it has something to do with the Thursday or the Friday game, and I will try to get to it. If it's for the Sunday games, we're going to want to hold off. We got to see practice reports and how things develop over the course of the week. But generally speaking, with so little to go off of going into week 1, start the dude you drafted higher. Like, start the dude you drafted higher in the draft. If you're between your 6th round pick and your 7th round pick to start your 6th round pick. Like, this is the foundation of your team we're talking about. We have not much to go off of going into week 1. You know what I mean? Kyler goes there. George Pickens goes there. I'm fine. I'm not worried. I'm not panicking about quarterback. I'll get my quarterback. There's a guy I have in mind. Like, there's some tight ends down here I feel perfectly fine about, and there's some decent running back depth that I don't mind rolling the dice on. Like, Dalton Kincaid is still available. I'm not putting anything, I could get him maybe. There's decent running back depth here. I don't pick for another 10 picks, but I don't expect David Montgomery to be available. But James Conner, Ramondre Stevenson, Raheem Mostert just went, so see you later. Najee Harris. None of these guys are DeAndre Swift. They're getting plucked up now, so I'm probably going to have to grab one with my next pick just to ensure that I get a viable RB2. But I feel fine about it because I have a stud. I have a hero running back to hang my hat on in Brees, and then I have strong wide receiver depth in full PPR. So I feel just fine about the fact that I've kind of passed on an RB2 for a little bit in favor of some decent wide receiver depth. Play to the strength of the scoring. If it's full PPR, hammer wide receiver, especially if you start 3. Maybe get 1 running back, like I did with Brees, and then hammer wide receiver. There goes Dalton Kincaid. That's okay. There goes George Kittle. Again, that's okay. I will get a tight end. I'm not really worried about tight end. Yes, there are more high-end options this year than in years past. But that will leave me, if I still miss out on like one of the top 9 or 10 options, like an Evan Engram, a Jake Ferguson could still be available a little bit later. A Brock Bowers could still be available a little bit later. There are punts that I'm perfectly fine with, like Ty Conklin. We got to maybe wait and see, but I like Luke Musgrave. I like Isaiah Likely. Like, there are punts that I'm perfectly fine with. I'll worry about tight end when I have to. There goes James Conner. I mean, if you leave me, I'm not going to. There's a certain player here where if he's left to me, then I have no choice but to scoop him. So Zay Flowers is still available here. In the 6th round, that looks pretty enticing. There goes Anthony Richardson. I wasn't expecting him to fall all the way to me, and that's okay. Like, there are good wide receivers here that I'm happy to end up with. Calvin Ridley, Chris Godwin. Brock Purdy, 66th overall. Yeesh. I think Joe Burrow is still on the board. Dak Prescott is still on the board. I'm not worried about my quarterback. There goes Montgomery. All right, so I'm missing on some running back options here, but there are a couple of guys that I'm perfectly okay with ending up with. So I feel all right about this. There goes Zay Flowers. That's fine. Let's see. I'm just switching back and forth between this X rank option. So I definitely need to start looking at running back a little closer because I don't want to get completely shut out on them. I just did a video yesterday about the Steelers' backfield, and I feel okay about Najee Harris at his depreciated cost. He's not flashy. He's pretty boring, and overall, he might not be that good, but he's 30 picks cheaper than he was last year, and Jaylen Warren, it could be mild. It hopefully is mild, but he picked up a hamstring injury. I'll roll the dice on Najee Harris. 1,000 yards, 3 straight years. He had 8 touchdowns on the ground last year. I'll roll the dice on Najee. Not great, don't love it, but I live with it. There's some good wide receivers that I would like to have here as well, but I have gotten 4, I think, decent, pretty good options already. So could be a good time to look at filling out depth in other places. Like, I like Deontay Johnson quite a bit. I really like Calvin Ridley. I could take a swing on Kyle Pitts. I could go back to the well with more running back depth, which might be the smart move to just make sure that I don't get shut out on more running back depth. See, like like some of these picks are kind of random. Devin Singletary just went 73rd overall. I like Devin Singletary. I don't know if I would take Devin Singletary there. So I honestly might just take, like, whether it's Zamir White or Javonte Williams or DeAndre Swift. Not like over the moon about any one of those dudes, but I think I'm just gonna take. And there goes Kyle Pitts anyway. Yeah, I'm just gonna give myself some extra running back depth because y'all know you can't have too much running back depth in season-long leagues. So you often find yourself maybe even overdrafting a little bit when it comes to the running backs. I don't want to get shut out. This would be my RB3 after Breece Hall and Najee Harris. So I have some options. I have between Javonte and Najee. I have some, like, this or that guy decent options to turn to each week. So even with some decent wide receiver options on the board, I'm going to go back to the well with another running back. Load up on wide receiver depth. Load up on running back depth. Quarterback and tight end will take care of itself. Perhaps with my next round of picks, that's where I go. Jaden Daniels is another guy that I would really like I really would have been happy to end up with. So I will be punting a little bit at quarterback. Which is fine. Again, it's a one quarterback league. There will be options. There's no way Russell Wilson's ADP is one. Yahoo is so unserious. How is Russell Wilson's ADP 118? That's so unserious. Now here's the value that I like at quarterback. I'll just go ahead and cue that right now. I mean, if Dak is available to me, then I will take Dak, but I'm going to go ahead and assume that somebody scoops him before I have the chance to do that. I do like that these picks are a minute long, so it's boom, boom, boom. It's quick. Hopefully it is easily consumable for you guys. Again, appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out. I will be live again tomorrow ahead of kickoff, ahead of the game. So start-sit questions as it pertains to Ravens-Chiefs will be prioritized. Start-sit questions as it pertains to Sunday, we're going to have to wait a little bit and see how things play out over the course of the rest of the week. And I will be live Saturday and Sunday for the first start-sit streams of the season. Again, for anybody who maybe missed at the top, to avoid the clutter that I kind of created, that was my own fault over the past couple of seasons, to avoid the clutter of like prioritizing member questions and jumping in and out of order and people potentially getting confused as where I am in the order if I answered their question already, the Saturday, Sunday start-sit streams will be members only. So it's the lowest level membership available on the channel, 99 cents a month. You will get the best that I can give you as it pertains to your question each week for the entire season. You can obviously cancel your membership once your start-sit questions are all answered if you so choose. Just 99 cents a month. Those details are available in the first link in the description of this live stream and all of the streams and videos on this channel. It'll help with the order and structure of the start-sit streams that can and often do get cluttered when I make them available to everybody, and then things kind of just get a little confusing. So we're ideally going to avoid that confusion this year. Streams during the week will still be available to the general public. And if you have start-sit questions that pertain to the Thursday night game, you'll be in luck for that particular week. But anything else, Sunday, Monday, will ideally get addressed in the weekend start-sit streams. If that's an issue for anybody, I am here. You can talk to me. I'm also available in Discord. Second link in the description of this channel. Here to help you guys, but ultimately it's going to help declutter and keep things moving on the weekends. All right, where am I at? I got 4 picks left. There's some depth wide receivers getting drafted here. I hate the ADP on Yahoo is so bad. Deontay Johnson is still available. DeAndre Swift is still available. Brian Robinson is still available. I could even stack up the Steelers with Jalen Warren. I could get Chase Brown. I could get my quarterback here in Caleb Williams. There's so many ways I could go. I'm going to punt on tight end, and that's okay. That's okay. I feel fine about that. Somebody will emerge. Some random person will emerge. Two picks until my turn. There goes Dak. Oh, he already went. There goes Xavier Worthy. Good pick. Man. Like DeAndre Swift. Jalen Warren. I like Brian Thomas a lot, but like Deontay is the vet here who I would be most happy, I think, to end up with. And the folks drafting right after me who will come back on the turn. Tajay Spears, 91st overall. Good pick. Good pick. If I can get Deontay Johnson here, I'm happy to end up with Deontay in the 8th round of a full PPR league. You bet I am happy to end up with Deontay Johnson as a wide receiver 5 in full PPR. I will take that. Please and thank you. DeAndre Swift goes right after. I'm just scrolling through the chat to see if I missed anything specific. We'll get to... Yeah, so again, start-sit questions that only pertain to Sunday. We got to let things play out. Maybe, Noah Fant might be a solid tight end stream this week. Revenge game. Seattle is a good defensive stream this week. They're playing the Broncos. The Bengals are also a good defensive stream. Playing the Patriots. Three picks until my next turn. I have Trevor Lawrence queued, but Caleb Williams is right there. He's right there. I think I prefer Lawrence. I do. I think I prefer Lawrence. I mean, he was like a 7th round pick last year, and he's fallen all the way down. Jonathan Brooks, nearly 100 picks into a draft. I like that. I like that pick. It's not my pick, but I like it. How far down is Trevor Lawrence? His ADP is like 118. No, 121. His X rank, because that might be what people are going off of, is 108. Which is creeping up here quite a bit. Oh, there's so many good options to take that I want to take here. There's so many good options. I think to that point, I don't advocate for this necessarily, but again, know your league mates. I'm going to get my quarterback here, even though there are good options available on the board. I like Christian Watson. I like DeAndre Hopkins. I like Jerome Ford. I like Brian Robinson. But this is a shallow league that takes quarterbacks, and a lot of them take backup quarterbacks. So I don't love doing this, but I am going to just go ahead and lock in my quarterback now, 100 picks into a draft. And there should be, with these other drafters taking defenses and kickers, they might start doing that with only like 4 or 5 rounds left. There might be a couple of decent last-minute options available to me here that I can end up scooping for a lot cheaper than their ADP indicates. Yeah, we're down to the 12 to 15 range at quarterback. Everybody's gone except for Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff just went. Kirk Cousins is still out there. Who the hell else is still even out there? Tua's out there. There's just no rushing upside with him. Cousins is still there. Stafford is still there. I like Caleb, but I like Lawrence as a bounce back candidate. I like Lawrence as a bounce back candidate. He was like a 6th or 7th round pick last year. He went even higher in a league like this. I can get him much cheaper, multiple rounds cheaper this year. And I'll just hope that there are a couple of options available to me later. But yeah, these are some damn good options still on the board. Brian Robinson, good option. Chase Brown, really good option. Like him a lot. Like Christian Watson. Like Jerome Ford. Rashid Shaheed, he's a tier below those guys, but I like him for depth as well. The rookies are here. Blake Corum, Trey Benson, both decent depth options. I have a good feeling, and what's going on, E11? Good to see you. I have a good feeling about Trevor Lawrence from a bounce back / cost perspective. I like both. I like Caleb Williams as well. I think they're both going to have really good seasons. Caleb certainly could be primed to have a better season, but Lawrence, the expectations were sky high last year, and now it's like they're kind of like in the dirt. Yeah, Gabe Davis is a downgrade from Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones, but Brian Thomas is nice. Christian Kirk is back healthy. Evan Ingram is still a strong pass catching, like a PPR volume guy at tight end, and Lawrence can run. He can give you 250 to 300 yards on the ground each year, which is obviously not high-end rushing upside, but it's something. Caleb Williams can probably do something in that same vein. They're right there. They're neck and neck. Like, if one is ranked 11th, then the other's ranked 12th. So it is personal preference. I don't have them very far away from each other. I did opt for Lawrence. Like 7 picks from now, I'm telling you, if I can get Chase Brown or Christian Watson or Jerome Ford, I'll be feeling quite good about that. I don't even know who the tight ends are that are left. Brock Bowers is still out there, and he's probably like... See, now, this is a time... I don't really want to take TJ Hawkinson, but this is a time where it would make sense to take TJ Hawkinson because I missed on all the other options. So, like, if Bowers doesn't get back to me, then now I'm down to, like, the true week-to-week streaming options, and then I just maybe hopefully hold out till like week 9 or 10 when Hawkinson can return. It's not my favorite approach this year, but it is something that you can do. Yeah, see, like defenses and kickers, random tight ends are starting to go. I have 2 more bench spots to fill out. I'm going to fill them out with guys that with more running back and wide receiver depth if I can. Like, I want Chase Brown here if I can get him. I want Christian Watson here if I can get him. I want Jerome Ford here if I can get him. There goes Brian Robinson. Did what's-his-face just go? He did. Christian Watson just went. 3 picks until my turn. Chase Brown is at the top, whatever this stupid X rank is, but he's buried in the ADP area. I will... Oh, man, let me get Chase Brown and just all upside, baby. All upside. Swing for the fences. He's not a 3-down back in all likelihood, but, man, his upside to hit on big plays is through the roof. Let me get him. Let me get him. I see some questions in here as well. I will get back. I will follow up with you guys as soon as I can. I did not forget about you guys. Appreciate you coming in, hanging out, talking shop. It's good to have fantasy back. Damn it. Chase Brown just went. No. I just missed on him. There goes Cousins, whatever. I'll take Jerome Ford if I can end up with him here. There goes Austin Eckler. Yeah, I'll take the running back depth. I'll take Jerome Ford. I am just not sure what Nick Chubb brings to the table this year. He's on the PUP list, so he's already going to miss the first 4 games. It was a gnarly, nasty injury, like multiple ligaments. It was a really bad injury week 2 last year. Nick Chubb is awesome. Has been the best pure runner of the football, one of them in his time in the NFL. I hope he comes back and kills it. I just don't know if he's going to be able to, at least in 2024. I just don't know if he's going to be able to. That knee injury was gnarly. It was not good. I'm not crazy about Brock Bowers here, but I don't have a tight end, and he's like the last viable guy that I could like kind of set and forget. One of the best tight end prospects ever. Yeah, the situation is not great, but they drafted him 13th overall. And he should play. The report is he should play week 1. Yeah, Ford. I think Ford is the starting back for Cleveland like this season. I think he's going. And Brock Bowers just went. I don't understand these people that take 2 tight ends. I don't understand it. I don't get it. All right, I'm full punt. I'm full punt. I'm not taking a tight end here. I'm not taking Pat Freiermuth here. I'm just not doing it. I'll take Blake Corum. And I'll have plenty of good options at running back for the season to hang my hat on. I think that's what I want to do here. Yeah. I mean, I like Rashid Shaheed here as well. Did Keon Coleman get drafted? I assume he's long gone. Yeah, he's long gone. I don't know why I would have thought. I do like Rashid Shaheed. But I only start 2 receivers and a flex in this league. And I have Olave, Nico, Rashee Rice, Amari Cooper, and Deontay Johnson. Rashid's just not getting in there. I'll take Corum. And then goes Rashid Shaheed. I like Rashid Shaheed quite a bit. For receiver depth, but I just couldn't justify it in a league where you only start 2 receivers in a flex. Yeah, I missed on Brock Bowers by about 2 picks because somebody drafted. Who was that? Who did it? I want to know. This guy drafted Brock Bowers when he already drafted Sam Laporta. Like, what are we doing, man? When you draft a tight end that high, that's your tight end. That's your tight end. There's no need for a tight end too. When are you ever going to start? If you lose Sam Laporta, then you've already lost. Like, you invested such a high pick in Sam Laporta. Like, I don't understand. In these onesie positions, quarterback and tight end, just draft one. Maximize your depth for running backs and wide receivers. I'm going to get on my soapbox all for the rest of the freaking night. Ugh. Dude. Making me sick. Pat Freiermuth gets... Not that I'm like bent out of shape about losing out on Pat Fryermuth, but, like, you already have Evan Ingram. What are we doing here, people? What are we doing here, people? So we've only got 2 rounds left. I have filled out my bench, so I pretty much need to draft a tight end. So what I can do, and what I often like to do, and I'm sure plenty of you guys do this already, but, like, draft a player who is IR eligible. So, like, a Hollywood Brown, who I'm not sure will get back to me in the next 11 picks. But draft an IR eligible player, stash that player in IR, and then pick up a tight end, kicker, or defense off of waivers. So I guess I'll take a tight end. Whoever's available. Like, I do like Ty Conklin this year. I think he could be the second pass catcher in the pecking order for Aaron Rodgers. I like Hunter Henry this year. All these guys are viable. Oh, Rico Dowdle was still on the board. Well, he wasn't going to make it on this shallow roster, unfortunately. Like, what quarterbacks are left? You're making me, man. See, like, there's enough guys here. There's enough starting guys here. Even Bryce Young, like, Sam Darnold, Will Levis. Why would I roster a QB2? Why would I roster a QB2 when I can roster more running back depth, more wide receiver depth? I'm going to hope that Hollywood Brown is available to me here, and then I can put him in IR because he's already ruled out. And then I'll pick up either a defense or a kicker off of waivers. Gus Edwards was still available? This is why I hate Yahoo. Like, their ADPs are all over the place. What was Gus Edwards' ADP on this godforsaken app? 118. How did I miss that? All right, maybe that one was on me. Maybe I got too bent out of shape with Brock Bowers getting drafted to the team, who also had Sam Laporta. Insane. 7 picks until my turn. And I want to thank everybody who's hanging around, sticking around, engaging with the draft. This has been fun. I know you guys have your opinions, and I'm trying to take them into account. There were a couple times where I was right there to take a guy, and he just got plucked a couple picks before I had the chance to do it. But whether you agree or disagree, it gives you an option or an opportunity to hear my thought process as it unfolds in real time. And if you disagree, let me know. Like, I don't like that pick. I would not have done that. That's what makes it fun. We can figure out, like, okay, where could I have gone differently? What maybe should I have done differently? And obviously, this is stuff that we have to ask ourselves like 6, 7, 8 weeks into the season, when things get a little bit more firmed up as far as reality versus expectations. But that's the beauty of the draft, right? I want Hollywood Brown here so that I can stash him in IR. He's still available. 4 picks in. I hope it'll let me because my bench is all filled up. But it should. It shouldn't block me from being able to draft him. I don't remember how Yahoo works. I'm not the commissioner of this league. I have moved all of my leagues to Sleeper. Move your leagues to Sleeper for the 2025 season if you haven't already. I think it is the most fantasy-friendly app. But that's okay. Low-stakes league with old colleagues and friends, it can be on Yahoo. That's fine. Everyone's scooping up their defenses. 3 picks until let me get Hollywood so I can stash them on IR. Wow, week 12 is just going to be a big fat L for me. Lawrence on bye, Olave on bye, Brees on bye. That's just going to be a nice big loss for me that week. But that's week 12. That's an issue 12 weeks from now. 2 picks until my turn. Let me get Hollywood Brown. I will stash him, wait on him, because this is dirt cheap for him at this point. See, there's a good time to take a shot on T.J. Hawkinson, but it had to have made sense. All right, David Njoku, that's fine. That's okay. That's a fine tight end to have as your starter for now, with Hawkinson as a stash and hope. That's fine. I'm going to draft Hollywood and IR him, and then that way I can get my tight end whenever I want. I can get a defense whenever I want. I can draft a kicker if I want to. Whatever. What tight ends are left? This guy's available who I have 0 shares of the rookie tight end for Washington. I'm going to let that sit. What kickers are left? I don't even want to look at this. I don't even want to look at these kickers. All right. Why is Noah Fant questionable? Limited? I don't like that. All right. I'm actually just going to take my favorite late round break glass in case of emergency tight end, Ty Conklin. He put up decent numbers last year catching passes from Zach Wilson. Now he gets Aaron Rodgers back. Could be the option number 2 in the pecking order any given week. Fine. I'll take a chance on Ty Conklin. Blech. I might go back to the well at tight end before it's all said and done. And then this is the last round. This is the last round. So appreciate you guys sticking around this long. I will answer questions that I haven't gotten to yet once this draft wraps up. Where's my stream? There's my stream. If they are available, I mean, whether it's Cincinnati or Seattle, if you didn't draft the Jets or the 49ers or the Ravens or whoever as one of the first defenses off the board, the Bengals are a good stream this week at home against New England. The Seahawks are a good stream this week at home against the Denver Broncos. I'm fine with either one of those options. For what it's worth, I kind of like Seattle a little bit. I want to see how they do. The Ravens, you like the Ravens, right? Everybody likes the Ravens defense. Well, guess what? The Ravens defensive coordinator last year, Mike Macdonald, is now the Seahawks head coach. So let's see how that Seahawks defense ties to the Ravens, right? They always get drafted, right? The Ravens defense always gets drafted, and for good reason. They're always good. Let's see how that translates in Seattle for week 1 against Bo Nix. Let's see how that goes. So those are my defensive streams. Cincinnati and Seattle. There goes Buffalo. We're getting some randomness off the board, some random depth running backs. There goes Jordan Mason. Good pick. Random defenses. We're really at the bottom of the barrel at this point. Moody still available? There's another name that I like. It's like a super deep stash in deep leagues at tight end. Keep an eye on Dawson Knox. It wasn't too long ago he was a big-time red zone option target for Josh Allen, and now Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis are both gone. And Dawson Knox had a tumultuous offseason last year. Not the case this year. Hopefully, with his best interests at heart, I think hopefully he's going into the season with a clean slate after what he had to go through last year. I think he lost his younger brother. I forget what the situation was, but that happened before the season started last year. So I think that messed things up for him, threw him off a little bit. This year, clean slate, ideally. And he's a mainstay. He's a holdover from, as far as like previous connection with Josh Allen goes. So deep stream option, tight end to keep in mind for streaming weeks, for good matchups. Dawson Knox. Keep an eye on him. Who are the kickers that are left? Cam Little's there. Cam Little's a trendy guy that people are into this year. Like, is Matt Gay out there? Matt Gay's out there. Why is he on the injury list? Oh, a sports hernia procedure. Okay. That broke today. Okay, so he's not getting drafted. Nick Folk is available. Is that game in Chicago or in Tennessee? Because I know the Titans and Bears are playing each other. I can't remember who has the home game from that. I will have that option available to me. I'm just going to go ahead and lock in Seattle because that's my favorite stream this week. And there we go. And I will IR Hollywood and pick up a kicker. That does it. That does it. And that'll do it. I always forget if Yahoo will let me pull up the entire board. Draft results. There we go. Position draft grid. No, give me the draft board. Why would they do this upside down? Oh. All I had to do was scroll up. Duh. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to try to blow this page up for you guys so that we can look at it. All right. So I had the 4th pick, full PPR, start 2 wide receivers and a flex. in a league where quarterbacks go generally higher than average. Hey, Dynasty Football Key, welcome to the practice squad. Appreciate that. Thank you for becoming a member. Again, for the Saturday, Sunday streams this year, for just 99 cents a month, the practice squad level membership will get you access to the Saturday, Sunday start-sit streams when I can give you my best answer to your start-sit questions for that Sunday slate with all of the information we have available to us as far as practice reports, injury reports, who's in on offense, who's out, who's in, who's out on defense, everything that affects your specific situation. You will get my best. You will get the best authentic answer that I could possibly give you with the most information that we have. If you have a start-sit question that just pertains to the Thursday game that week, then yes, you would be in luck in theory because that stream will remain open to the general public. But the Saturday, Sunday streams will be available to the practice squad level membership and up to get start-sit questions answered as it pertains to the Sunday games and Monday night as well. Just 99 cents a month will get you access to those streams when you can get my best, most authentic answer for your questions with the most information that we have and most up-to-date information that we have from practice reports and injury designations and all of that. So, Dynasty Football Key, welcome aboard. Appreciate you joining. Thank you so much. The support means a lot. And thank you to everybody who's in here right now just engaging and talking shop. Love having healthy, fun conversations as it pertains to fantasy. It's good to be back. It's good to have so many of you back with just hours to go before the start of the regular season. We're pretty much coming up on just 24 hours left before Ravens-Chiefs. It's a fun time of the year. It's the best time of the year. From the 104 in full PPR, I took Breece Hall. Yes, I took him over Bijan Robinson. Yes, I took him over Amon-Ra and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. If this league started three receivers, I would have thought Lawrence Harden probably would have pulled the trigger on one of those stud wideouts. But because I only start two receivers in a flex, I opted for the hero running back. I opted for Breece, the guy I do prefer slightly to Bijan Robinson. It's personal preference. It's splitting hairs who you prefer. I chose the guy who I saw be a bell cow last year despite being in a brutal offense. Both should be in better situations this year than they were last year. The difference between Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson is Tyler Algier on Atlanta. Braylon Allen is super interesting as a handcuff to Breece Hall, but I don't know that he is of the pedigree of Tyler Algier yet. And I know that Tyler Algier is more likely to have a role. That is the difference for me between Breece and Bijan. Olave, Nico Collins, Rashee Rice, Amari Cooper, a hammered receiver after that. So now I have four really strong options to fill out those three spots each week. Came back to some running back depth with Najee and Javonte Williams. Fine. Deontay Johnson, more PPR receiving depth. Good. Trevor Lawrence is not a guy that I would typically draft this high, but in this league, quarterbacks just go higher. So I decided to just make sure I got a guy that I felt comfortable with going into the season. So I grabbed Lawrence. More running back depth to fill things out. Hollywood is an IR stash and hope. I punted heavy on tight end. We'll see if Tyler Conklin can turn into one of the top two or three, ideally two options in the pecking order most weeks for Aaron Rodgers. If Mike Williams is healthy, then it's more likely that he's the third option, but we got to see it from Mike Williams. He's missed a lot of time recently. The Seahawks defense, because I want to stream them against the Denver Broncos, and they play the New England Patriots week 2, so they're a good 2-week stream to get things started off for your defense this year for at least the first 2 weeks. And then I'll pick up a kicker at some other point. So that'll do it. Let me see. Let me just get to any questions that I may have missed before we call it for the evening. And again, I will be live again tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, ahead of the game. It'll be a hangout. It'll be, we're just embracing that football is back. If you have start-sit questions that pertain to Ravens-Chiefs, I will get to them. If you have start-sit questions that pertain to Sunday, admittedly, I'm going to deprioritize them. I might give you like a quick answer because I don't want to leave anybody empty-handed. You guys thought enough to come into the stream, click on my stream and come in, and I appreciate that. I want to give you guys at least something, but we need to see full practice reports and injury designations before we feel really strongly about definitive start-sit answers for the Sunday slate and for Monday night. So it's not because I don't want to answer your question. It's just that oftentimes, not every scenario, but oftentimes start-sit questions for the Sunday slate on a Thursday are a little premature. Not all of them, but a fair amount of them. So I'll give you like a quick answer. I probably won't go into too much detail. I might honestly just opt for, like, on paper, the better player, the more proven player. But I can give you more on the Saturday and Sunday streams, which for this season, to help sift through the clutter, will be members-only streams, 99 cents a month, the practice squad level membership and up, and that's when you will get the best answer I can give you for start-sit questions. And there won't be any jumping around the chat, trying to identify members versus general population, and getting people potentially confused and getting things out of order. All of that gets eliminated with this new process. What's up, Nemo? Good to see you, sir. Let's see. And I don't always shout out, I don't always shout out the Gen Pop, although I appreciate you guys, but I gotta say, Bobby Brook, Buckeye, DK, I appreciate your guys' engagement and the chat. I see how involved you guys are, and I appreciate that. Everybody as well. But I love an engaging chat, love a helpful chat. Let's help each other where we can. So appreciate that. And everybody who has come in today and hung out. Appreciate the support and just the general hangout with fantasy back. Oh boy, I really let this chat get away from me. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if there are any specific start-sit questions as it pertains to the Thursday or the Friday game. There is the Friday game as well, first Friday this year. Yeah. Stream Cincinnati or Seattle this week. I feel perfectly fine about those defensive streams. I particularly like the Seahawks, but because not only do they have Denver at home, next week they have New England. And it is a road game, but New England is at least right now looking like one of the weaker offenses on paper. So I like the Seahawks defense for at least the first 2 weeks of the season. Yeah, I wouldn't have minded the Bears offense here in this draft, but the chips just didn't fall that way. It is what it is. And I wanted to get Bowers, but the person who has Sam Laporta decided to take a tight end too. I don't get it. Could have taken Josh Palmer there, but again, I have 5 deep at wide receiver right now. Oh, it kicked me out. All right, well, here's a little more. Here's a little. This looks like a dessert menu layout of my draft. There it is. Full PPR. Things get weird with Yahoo ADP, and this league in particular drafts a little unorthodox. So, I live with the results. I think this is a team rate question. 14 team, full PPR, excuse me. Jacobs, Achane. I like those running backs. Stroud at quarterback, fine. McBride, stud tight end. You also have Rice. Oh, this is like an ongoing draft. And you have some Bills wide receivers and Romeo Doubs. In a vacuum, I would go Jerome Ford. I would go Jerome Ford. I think he's going to be the starting running back in Cleveland this year. I just don't know what Chubb brings to the table after that brutal knee injury. I just don't know what he brings to the table after that brutal knee injury. Already on the PUP list. He's like without a timeline to return. He tore multiple ligaments. I think Jerome Ford is the guy to draft. For me, it's worth it to draft a tight end early if the tight end falls to you. I don't want to go out of my way and be aggressive drafting a tight end. I want to be aggressive drafting running back and wide receiver depth. If a tight end falls to me 4, 5, 6 spots below his ADP, sure, absolutely. But I'm not like, it's just kind of like a philosophy thing. Even with more good, higher end options at tight end this year compared to years past, I don't want to go out of my way to draft one. I want to let them come to me. I want to let them fall to me. I do want to be aggressive drafting running backs and wide receivers. I typically, even this year with so many on paper, conceivably high-end options at tight end, I'm not going to be aggressive, so to say, drafting one. That's a situation where I want to let that fall to me. I don't want to end up reaching or feel like I'm reaching for the sake of getting one of the elite tight end options. And there's a lot of good ones this year. There's a lot of exciting ones this year. But I want that to happen organically. I don't want to be aggressive with a tight end. Should you trade Malik Neighbors for Zamir White and Keon Coleman? In full PPR, I would not. If you are still in here, South Texas 49er, would I trade Malik Neighbors for Zamir White and Keon Coleman? I personally would not. You have Taylor, stud hero running back to hang your hat on. If you start 3 receivers and a flex, then you can start all 4. Then you can start Wilson, London, Cooper, and Neighbors. If it's 2 receivers and a flex, then okay, fine. The running back depth is a little bit more plausible. I would dangle Cooper instead. And I like Amari Cooper. I just drafted Amari Cooper. I just drafted him in the 5th round. But I would prefer Malik Neighbors. And I know that the Giants' offense is dicey. I know it's rickety. I know it's not one that you can trust. But Malik Neighbors looks like a flat-out stud who will deliver right away as a rookie. He's an elite prospect. He has a chance, even with his bad situation, to go neck and neck with Marvin Harrison as far as production this year, who was in a much better situation in Arizona. I would not. I would dangle Cooper for that offer. I would dangle Amari Cooper for Zamir White and Keon Coleman. I would do that, but I would keep Malik Neighbors. If I can give you Cooper for Zamir White and Keon Coleman, deal. If I have to give up Neighbors, I'm less enthusiastic about that. I know there's concerns about the Giants. Daniel Jones stinks. The offensive line hasn't been good. for like 20 years. I'm being a little facetious, but it feels like it's been that long since the Giants have had a good offensive line. At least 10. It's been like at least a decade. But he's going to get peppered with targets. He might have like a 35% target share, which would probably lead the league. And they're not all going to be high-value targets, but Malik Nabers looks like that dude that will make the impossible look possible. He's going to be really good. Malik Nabers is going to be really good, and I think he's going to be really good right away. Now, no disrespect to Amari Cooper. We know Amari Cooper is good. We know Amari Cooper is rock solid. But I'm shooting for the upside of the big-time playmaker, and I think at this stages of their respective careers, I actually do think that's Nabers, in spite of the shoddy quarterback situation. I would roll the dice on keeping Nabers and offering Cooper for Zamir White and Coleman. If that gets it done, then I'm in. I would actually want to hold on to Malik Nabers. I understand if you're worried about Nabers, but you drafted him. So let's see what you got before you get rid of him. As this unknown, exciting, enticing rookie. We're worried about, I'll play a little devil's advocate here, Nabers versus Cooper. Worried about the Giants' offense holding up. What if Deshaun Watson doesn't hold up? We haven't seen anything good from him in 3 or 4 years. Outside of a couple of decent performances. It's mostly not been good for Deshaun Watson. Now, Cooper has delivered in those moments when Watson has played. But Watson has, I would say, almost as much to prove as Daniel Jones does. It's been so long since we've seen good, consistent production from Watson. So I think those concerns are they're neck and neck. So give me the interesting potential upside of Nabers if I could choose between the two, depending on what gets it done. And I know Alex agrees with me on that if he's still in here. Zamir White is interesting running back depth this year. Keon Coleman is interesting as a stash and wait wide receiver who should fill a big role for the Bills. But also, Nabers should just flat out be a baller. There's my hard-hitting analysis for that trade scenario. And yeah, I would start, Terry McLaurin and Keon Coleman of those two options. I'm not going to get one last time. I'm not going to get super in depth with start-sit questions for Sunday for players playing on Sunday. We just don't have all the information yet. Anything can happen in practice Thursday and Friday, on one side or the other. Your guy on offense versus who they're playing on defense. Things can still change between now and then. If your start-sit questions pertain to the Thursday night or for this week, the Friday night game, we can do a little bit more of a deep dive onto those. Again, I will be live tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, ahead of the game. So come hang out. Bring your start-sit questions as it pertains to Ravens, Chiefs then, and Eagles, Packers. Both of them. But for the Sunday lineups, my general thought process is start the dudes that you drafted first. That's all we really have to go off of going into week 1. These are the guys that you essentially utilized as your foundation, that you used to build your foundation for your team this year. Start the dudes that you drafted in the higher rounds. If you're between your 7th round and 8th round pick, generally, start the guy you drafted in the 7th round. There's not a whole lot more we can go off of week 1. I promise you will get more from me than something like that after week 1. We just don't have that much to go off of just yet. That's just the nature of the start of the season. So we can, of course, get into, again, Thursday starts its streams tomorrow. Thursday starts at questions and Friday starts at questions tomorrow. Again, one last time, the Saturday and Sunday sit streams. 6 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. For this year, they will be member-only chats. 99 cents a month for the entire season. You can cancel that at any time. You will get, following all practice reports, all injury reports, you will get the most informed decision that I can possibly give you based off of the data and the details that we have, and I will give you my thought process in greater detail on Saturday and Sunday when you have a difficult decision to make. And oftentimes there are difficult decisions to make. This guy or that guy. They're both viable options. Which one do I go with? When we have that information is when I can really give you an authentic answer. On Saturday or Sunday morning, if you can only make one of the two. 99 cents a month, the practice squad level membership on the channel. You can find more details in the first link in the description of this stream and all of the videos and streams on my channel. And if you have any further questions about that, I'm happy to take them. You can also catch me in Discord. Again, if you have questions about the membership or anything else, second link in the description of this live stream. You can hit me up over there. I'm happy to answer questions as it pertains to the memberships. But that is how the Saturday, Sunday sit streams will be conducted this year. It will also kind of declutter those streams and make it easier for me to navigate and not prioritize the member questions and just be jumping in and out of order and making things confusing for everybody, because we don't want that. So with that, I don't think there are any other questions. Apologies if I missed one. If there's anything that you were hoping for me to answer that I did not get to, please let me know in the next couple of minutes. Looks like Puka's injury status just got updated to healthy, so we love to see that. No concerns for Puka Nacua going into week 1, despite picking up that knee injury earlier in the offseason. I believe I saw a similar update a little earlier for Jalen Waddle. No setbacks or anything that he's dealing with that the team held him out for in earlier training camp practices. He's going to be good to go for week 1 after kind of an injury-riddled season last year for him. A guy that I really like this year at cost. Someone you could have regularly in the 3rd round. I think Jalen Waddle is going to have a good ROI this year. I think he's going to have a really strong season. If there's nothing else, we're going to wrap for the rest of the evening. Thank you all so much for coming in, hanging out, taking the time, thinking enough to spend some time with me tonight, whether it was for 30 seconds or 30 minutes. I will be back tomorrow for kickoff, 6 p.m. Eastern, and it'll be like a little mini party, a little get-together. Bring your drinks, whatever. Make sure your setup for the game is all ready to go, and we're just going to enjoy the fact that football is back. I will answer questions, fantasy or otherwise. Happy to take shop on anything that you have for Ravens-Chiefs or Packers-Eagles, the first Friday game of the NFL season. We will cover off both of those games tomorrow night. And then again, the heavy slate, the Sunday slate, sit streams will be Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Practice squad level membership and up will be eligible for the chat. Practice squad is just 99 cents a month. There are more details about membership levels in the first link in the description of this live stream and all the videos on this channel. That will do it for the rest of the night. I don't see any other questions or comments coming in here at the last minute. But thank you guys so much. Appreciate y'all for coming in and hanging out. Football is back. Super excited. I'm sure you guys all are too after all of the waiting and the research done with fantasy. Now it's here. It's time to see if how all the hard work goes into fruition. It's going to be exciting to see. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the time. Have a good night.